What's going on, everyone? John here, back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker. Now, Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker was a big mystery because before the film came out, everyone was wondering how he came back to life. And even after the film, people were wondering. But in recent novelisation, we finally found out the answer to why Palpatine was alive in The Rise of Skywalker. So, in the novelisation, it basically says that when Ben Solo meets Palpatine on Exegol for the first time, he recognises the equipment used to keep him alive. Now, this equipment is actually equipment to keep Palpatine alive because he was a clone. So this clone body of Palpatine wasn't the first, but it was the most successful, and Ben Solo, or Kylo Ren, mentions that there was one more vial left, keeping his body from completely deteriorating, and that explains why he was so old. Now, the reason why his body was deteriorating was because of his power in the Force. Now, Palpatine, as the last Sith, contained all knowledge, all power of the Sith. He was literally a living vessel for the dark side, and to put that into a clone body now. Let's face it, we don't actually know that, we don't actually know in canon how Force-sensitive clone works. We've never seen a Force-sensitive clone, but in the Force Awakens game, it doesn't really work out. Galen Merrick is cloned, and there's many failed attempts. There's two sides of the coin. One, they're not Force-sensitive, or two, they are, but they go crazy and they become mental and things like that. There was only one successful clone in that series, and this is probably the same situation. So, all the failed attempts, so there are failed attempts. I don't know if this is canon. I don't know if this is revealed yet. And I don't know if this is... Let's just say it's my theory until it's actually revealed. I think it was revealed, but I'm not too sure. The Vat of Snoke, the reason why there was 3 of them, was because those were failed attempts to create another Palpatine clone. That's why they look all deformed, and obviously Palpatine must have thought, oh, well, if I'm, all these failed attempts, I may as well use it for something. And so Snoke was born, and he became the front runner of the First Order so that Palpatine could use him as a puppet to create a bigger army, another empire whilst he's dead. I'm using air quotes here, dead. Basically, Palpatine was just a spirit, and the Sith cultists were stressing. They needed to get a perfect body for him. And eventually they got a body which turned out to be non-Force sensitive, and it wasn't identical to him either. This clone is Palpatine's son. That's right, Palpatine's son in The Rise of Skywalker is actually a clone of Palpatine, a failed clone. So obviously he escapes Exegol or wherever the clones are being made, whether it's before, I reckon before the Battle of, before Palpatine died, these clones were created just in case, you know what I mean? Whilst Palpatine was sort of, still the Emperor. So obviously one of his failed attempts was his son. So Palpatine never had a wife or a girlfriend. He never, So he never had a kid that way. Instead, he basically had a son through the clone. Now this clone then later had a wife or girlfriend, and then had Rey. And Rey was the perfect vessel for Palpatine. Now, Palpatine's whole point is the fact that after death, he needed to find the perfect vessel. And to do so, the perfect vessel would be Rey. But obviously, because he didn't have Rey, so when he did die, he then found the best clone body, which is where we saw him in The Rise of Skywalker. Now, this clone body was deteriorated, it was blind, it was pale, it lost fingers. And yeah, so that's the whole story of Palpatine. He was a clone in The Rise of Skywalker. His son's actually a clone. So technically, Rey could be classed as, his daughter. It's his clone's daughter, so yeah. But Palpatine in Return of the Jedi did die. Full stop, dead. He only survived through essence transfer, I assume, into the clone body that we saw him in the Rise of Skywalker. And then the clones of that failed, I assume, were either killed, and the Force sensitive ones were kept, and that's why Snoke was there. So yeah, that's it. And then Rey was obviously the perfect vessel for Palpatine because it had his blood and was perfect. But obviously to do that, Palpatine needed to be killed, and that's probably why that ritual thing was to, rebirth the Sith and things like that. So I found that very, very interesting. However, just a quick theory, a little side theory here. The reason why he probably wanted Kylo Ren to sort of be his new apprentice, maybe because Palpatine had... I still think Palpatine had something to do with Anakin's birth. I think that Palpatine not created Anakin, but had a part in it. And so a piece of Anakin would be... a piece of Palpatine would be in Ben Solo, which I think would be why Palpatine probably wanted to get on Ben Solo's good side and help him out a bit. I think Ben Solo was originally the first person he wanted to possess. Either that, or it's because Ben Solo's power was so great because of his Force sensitivity and his, Skywalker bloodline. He probably thought he was a perfect choice. But then again, he had a granddaughter who's Rey, who was also another perfect choice. So he had those two options. And then obviously when that failed, he used the fact that they were the dyad and the Force, drained the Force energy from them to heal himself. But I assume if he did survive then, he'd probably deteriorate once again. And that energy wouldn't last long. So yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy this little news update of Palpatine. I will be doing more news updates soon. For example, about Ben Solo possibly being alive. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. And leave a comment down below. Leave a comment down below on Palpatine's survival and let me know what you think about it. And let me know if you like the fact that he was a clone, or would you rather him come back a different way, or would you rather him not come back at all? But yeah, anyway guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.